Hey, sports fans, Larry Eder again, RunBlogRun. This is our programming, Socialing the Distance. Our guest today is Kameron Jones. He's a master's student at Clemson, undergrad at Maryland. I think he's got one more year left of outdoor track and field.
Correct.
And you've got some you got some legs on you, man. You've gone 21.4, 46.17, 116, but you said you've done 115, and then you've got a 149. So like the wheels, impressed with that. How did this nightmare at Clemson begin? How did you guys hear about it?
Yeah, so I was actually working that day, and I got a Teamworks message, and it said mandatory meeting at 1:45. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'm working. I can't. You just randomly assigned a meeting. I can't go. Yeah. And so I texted my coach. I called my coach, and I was like, Coach, you guys randomly just did this meeting. I can't go. I'm working. Like, I don't know. Like, what is this about? Like, is it really that important? And he said, yes, it's very important. If you need to call out of work to come to this meeting.
Wow.
And so at that point, I was like, wow, the world must be falling down if I have to call out of work to come to this meeting.
Yeah.
And so we get to the gym. This is the first time we've ever met as an entire team in person, by the way.
Wow. Okay.
Because I'm new, actually. I transferred from Maryland. Okay. So this is the first time I've seen everybody together. And he just starts off by talking about how well we're handling just the COVID situation. And I'm like, oh, what is this about? I was really confused. And then it dawned on me. I was like, I think something's getting cut. And when he said that they were cutting the entire program, I was shocked.
Wow.
Under my mask, my jaw literally dropped.
Yeah.
And he opened it up for questions, and we really didn't get any substantial answers at that point. I don't think he was prepared to answer any substantial questions at that point, because I asked personally, I asked how much money he said it was a financial issue and a Title IX issue. And I asked how much money we would need to keep the team going in any aspect. He said we need $60 million. I don't really think that was...
Okay, say that again. $60 million?
$60 million, a $60 million endowment to bring back our team.
Holy shit. Okay.
And at that point, I was like, I think he just pulled that number out of the air.
Yeah.
But I let it go. And okay. And I asked if we had any opportunity to fundraise, and he said no. The decision is final. And then moving on to the Title IX issue, I asked if we were Title IX compliant right now. The answer was yes. And he said that it's just the way that the campus is moving towards. So this is a preemptive effort. It's not something that's a current issue. Clemson hasn't been sued. Clemson just added softball. There really isn't a pervasive Title IX issue right now as we speak. Mm-hmm. So like that was just really confusing. Of course, everybody was sad. People were crying. I mean, I'm a master's student. I only have one season. So this really, it doesn't affect me. But just to see those freshmen, that reality set in that they might not have a place to go next year. And I think that a lot of people forget too with track and field that there's only 12.6 scholarships, and there's 3 of us. So most of us are paying.
Yeah.
Very few people that are actually receiving a full scholarship where they're not paying anything.
Wow.
And just the opportunity to be able to have an education, an affordable education. And like, there's a lot of kids that were walk-ons that were expecting to make some money as the years went on, and that opportunity is now gone.
Wow. What was your first gut feelings when you heard that? How did you feel? Were you totally shocked?
I was confused. Just thinking like when I was choosing a school to transfer to, I looked at just the different athletic departments and like the states of the different athletic departments, because I came from an athletic department that wasn't necessarily as financially prosperous as this one.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I was looking for overall was a financially stable athletic department. And it's just kind of ironic that just how they decided to handle their budget shortfall by cutting opportunities rather than, I guess, changing the student athlete experience or making department-wide cuts rather than leaving it all on one team.
What? Tell me your coach's name.
Mark Elliott.
Mark, when you talked to Mark, did you get to talk to him individually and find anything more from him?
I mean, well, yeah, because I asked him, when did he know? When did he find out? And he said, we found out about an hour before you guys. I had no idea. He was just shocked. I mean, there's not really much we could really say. I mean, like, he really didn't know. He was literally on the phone nonstop afterwards. It was just really hard for him when you're looking at these people and you're thinking about your coaches who might be out of a job after this because they can't keep on all of the coaches with the cutting of the team. It's not allowed. They'd have to cut the coaching staff in half.
So specifically, they're cutting men's indoor and outdoor track and field.
In cross country.
And cross country, too.
The entire program is done.
Now, was your coach the coach of the men and women's programs?
Correct. So, like I said, all the coaches coach both men and women.
Okay. What did the AD say at first when you contacted him, or has he or she spoken with you guys?
We had a town hall meeting. They tried to explain again to us. I still don't think that they were very prepared. And they tried to pass it off as this was something that was coming for a long time, and it was very thought through. And just when they presented their facts to us, I think it was evident that they didn't really do the research that was necessary. I don't really think that either one, they looked into the racial component of it, with South Carolina being 27% Black. The national average of African Americans is 13% Black. Clemson is 6% Black.
Okay, wow.
So either they looked at those statistics and said, we don't care, or they didn't notice at all that there was going to be any pervasive racial impact on Clemson's campus.
Now, your athletic director has a bit of history. And if I recall, wasn't he involved in the raising of the program at Georgia Tech?
I believe so. Okay.
So he has kind of a, when all else fails, take the track team down. How was the university president? Any comments there?
He hasn't made any comments to us.
Really? And were there questions asked like, what if we could raise money?
Yep.
Did they say not a chance?
I mean, even in their when they spoke about it in their own Board of Trustees meetings, not once did they reach out to any sort of alumni. We have IPD as our donor base here. It's huge. They really talk about how amazing our donor base here is at Clemson. They made no efforts to really reach out to try to raise that money to keep our team alive. So that's the thing. I'm not really seeing the effort on their part to keep the team. I think that this was something that was convenient. It was easy. And they thought that it was going to get this. It was because track is not as big of a sport. It was going to get the smallest wave.
Do they actually have a financial problem in the athletic department?
They say that there's going to be a $25 million budget shortfall. Eliminating the men's track and field team, they say, is saving $2.5 million. When they presented those numbers to us in our town hall meeting, I actually noticed something that was wrong in their financial statement. They stated that they were talking about how our track meets lost a couple $100,000. And I asked them, I said, are we eliminating Clemson's indoor track meets from the women's team? Are they not going to be able to host any more track meets because they're losing so much money? He said no. So what they're doing is they're passing off expenses that are team-wide as just men's expenses, which is untrue. So honestly, I think their estimate is probably about a couple $100,000 off.
How would you propose a thoughtful way to approach this would be? If you understand that, let's just for a minute suppose that the athletic department is having a problem.
Right.
And they're foreseeing that Title IX is going to bite them in the butt down the road.
Right.
How do you propose that they deal with this?
Well, first, I think that potentially we could all do cuts department-wide. It doesn't have to just fall on the track and field team. We can limit roster sizes. I think that we don't have to cut the entire program in order to keep the team alive. Maybe just do indoor and outdoor. And then additionally, Football has 130 roster spots. We could take a couple from there. You could pull a couple from baseball. You could pull one or two from soccer. You could pull one from golf. You could pull one from basketball. It doesn't have to be something that an entire team takes the burden of.
How is the athletic department, other teams behind you guys? Have they supported you guys or not?
I think that we've gotten some support from other teams. It hasn't been as I guess I haven't seen as much support as I'd like to see personally. You'd like to see more. I think that a lot of people just take in the back seat and just kind of watch or just watching what we do. And I'd love to see more people get involved. Like I said, we have the Clemson family here. I haven't personally experienced it, but I'd love to see some more people get involved with our fight.
How are the alums approaching everything?
The alums have been all hands on deck. They've been great. They've been a part of the process 100% of the way. They're 100% behind us. They're doing really everything that they can, and they're going above and beyond for us.
Now, William and Mary, I believe, had an issue a few years back, and their alums got involved in it. I'm trying to remember if the University of Maryland had something a few years ago. But I know this has been going on all over the country. You're talking about the racial component of it. Why don't you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, track is an accessible sport. And I think that also too, 92% of all Black athletes play a majority of three sports. They play basketball, they play football, and they run track. That's it.
Yeah.
Everything else is predominantly white, overwhelmingly white. And thinking about, let's talk about the sports that we do sponsor here at Clemson, or that we will sponsor after the team is gone. It's going to be golf. It's going to be tennis, soccer, and baseball, and men's basketball and football. So the revenue generating sports will be predominantly Black sports, and all of the non-revenue generating sports will be white sports. And think about all of these sports. All of these sports have high cost of entry. You need a country club membership to play golf. Tennis is expensive. Baseball equipment and traveling, camps for soccer and traveling for soccer. Those are things that are very expensive, and those cost a lot of money. And just due to the racial wealth gap in America, more often than not, Black families aren't able to afford those high costs of entry to those sports. And that's why track is something that's so predominantly Black, because you can just pick up a pair of shoes, you can go down to the track, and you can run. It's not expensive to pay a meet fee, pay a $10 or $15 meet fee and run unattached if you don't have a club. You can do that and you can get recruited. And if you run fast enough, you can have an opportunity to run in college. There's not really any sport that's like that. And just with the racial component of Clemson being only 6% Black, where in a state that's 27% Black, just ignoring the fact that we're really affecting a large population of the Black students on campus. It's tone deaf, and the decision has a disparate impact on the Black community at Clemson, who's already struggling with racial issues, and who hasn't had particularly a great racial history in general.
Let's get into that for a couple minutes, because the athletic department, the AD, is trying to say it has nothing. It's not a racial component. This is a financial component.
Right.
His past experience has been that when all else fails, he'll close a men's track team down. How do you approach that?
I mean, my thing is, even to say that there's no racial component, that's fine. And say you didn't consider race in your decision making. But like I said, it's tone deaf to ignore the racial implications of your choices. And that's why, honestly, I'm personally upset about that, is because he can't even acknowledge that this is having racial implications. This is having a very distinct effect on the racial makeup of the university. It doesn't matter about your intentions. It matters about the impact of your choices.
One of the most successful coaches in the country, rather colorful himself, is a guy named Brooks Johnson, who's in his early 80s now. Brooks was at Stanford for a long time. He's coached all over. And one of the things that he told me was that when I was asking him about programs being closed down, he said he found it rather ludicrous that track and field programs will be closed down, especially because they, like football and basketball, gave opportunities to young black men to get educated and to have a chance for college or university on a higher level than any other sport. The question at Clemson with their football team, how many of the kids young men playing football are also running track and field?
We don't have any as of now. They used to do it all the time.
Wow.
Recently, I think with the new coach, they don't do that.
That's funny. It's a very northern school thing. Like Michigan and doesn't have Bo Schembacher didn't have kids running track. Now at Wisconsin, I live in Wisconsin. There was I think his name was Russell Dane. He ended up playing pro, but he was my American track and field athlete of the year within the shot and the discus, and he goes to plays football, and they don't let him do it anymore. Now, a Southern school, University of Florida, I remember talking to the coach there, and I mean, he had Deion Sanders playing baseball, track, and football. So it's an interesting the way that the coaches look at it. I always see keeping the kids in shape, young men in shape, is a big deal. What do you want the readers of RunBlogRun to know about Clemson? How can they help you in this good fight?
We have Instagram, we have Twitter at SaveClemsonXCTF. We also have our website, SaveClemsonMensTF. So you can follow those. Our links are in our bio, and you can join our email links. We do a lot of emailing. It alerts you when we post on Instagram and Twitter. So that's really helpful for us just to kind of spread the word. Really, awareness is the most important thing right now. We want people to know what's happening down here. So if you can just continue to spread the word and make it known, send emails. We have the email links to the president. We have email links to the Board of Trustees. Press those email links. All you have to do is click it and press send. And that allows them to see just the public outrage of this decision and the ramifications behind their actions. I think that it's really important for them to see that we have support and there are people behind us. So if you have time, just make sure that you can just click the links, follow the page, repost our images, repost our tweets. That would be great.
What you recently you guys did a video, and I haven't seen it yet. I was just told about it. About Clemson, about Mr. Clemson, the gentleman who, the land grant was done to do the university. He is a part of the state's history, and it's rather ironic the way that you guys approached it, explaining especially at a university was founded to give people an education. They're now going after one of the programs that gives more minority young men a chance at an education than any other program at the university. Tell me a little bit about the video. Tell me what the response has been.
First, I think we really just wanted to bring a light to, the changing aspects of collegiate athletics. It's profit-driven. It's not student-driven anymore. And what we're seeing is that universities are profiting off of football and basketball, right? They're Black sports. The only sport, predominantly Black sport, that doesn't drive a profit is track and field, and that's always on the chopping block. So effectively what they're saying is that these Black students, as long as they're driving a profit, we can do everything we can for them to keep them existing and keep them thriving. When they don't drive a profit, we can discard them. And I think that it's important to show that message. And I think that Russell Dinkins, he did a great job with producing that.
Sure.
And we really just wanted to bring a light to the racial components of it, because those exist, and to ignore that is ignorant. It got great reception. I think a lot of people were able to see it really broke down just the components of the issues. Of course, some people didn't necessarily agree. Some people are upset that we were making it into a race issue. But honestly, we didn't make it into a race issue. They made it into a race issue because they're ignoring the racial implications of their choices. And it's only right for us to bring forth the facts. the videos littered with facts, with statistics that prove that these choices are having negative implications on the Black student population here. And it's proving that if we don't drive a profit being track and field, then we're easily to discard.
One of the things that a lot of schools don't, they take into consideration when it helps them and then they don't when it isn't, is graduation rates. Track and field and soccer per the NCAA have the highest graduation rates of any teams. There are schools with this graduation rates in basketball that are competing in the top 16 as low as 25%. Now, most of those schools have taken an effort and they've got themselves up to a whopping 40% or 50%. And some schools are saying, okay, we know it's hard for you to play at a Division I sport for 4 years and get your degree. You have competed for us for 4 years. We'll take care of you for another year. But every school is different. Has it come to play at all, or have you guys used that whole idea of graduation rates to talk with them about things on how track and field has helped the athletic department?
That hasn't been one of our main talking points. I think it's definitely something that we like to talk about, just the educational opportunities that it provides to people, and those educational opportunities will effectively be gone if this decision continues to happen. So it's not one of our main talking points, but it's definitely something that we mention.
Okay. Let's play that we're the athletic director for a little bit.
Okay.
Not this specific one, but an athletic director has an interesting job because they're no longer coaching. Their whole job is politics, and they should all be Marxist because Karl Marx said that all change is done because of economics. And the athletic department, he wants that $1 he has that day, and he hopes it's 4 at the end of the day. So he or she is spending the time with the athletic directors, and he or she only deals with the people who make the most noise. So the more noise you guys make, the more effective you can be. If you don't make noise, they'll let you die. The lesson that we've learned over the last year on programs that have been called back is the people who made the noise, the people who drove the president, the athletic director, the assistant athletic director, the PR people crazy, and the sponsors crazy are the ones who do it. And it's not about getting them annoyed for a day. You got to get them pissed off for 30 or 40 or 60 days. Right. Are you guys in this for the long haul?
We sure are. Right now we have about 1,500 people on our email list. And we're still counting, we're still adding. We're posting every day. I'm making my personal post. My other teammates are making their own personal post. We're doing everything that we can. We're making phone calls. And it will continue into the track season if it has to. And I think that that's only going to make our voice stronger because we'll be around other people who will see our success on the track and say, hey, we don't want this gone. We want to have a team that's competitive like Clemson around for years to come.
How has the athletic director responded to you guys? Anything really besides the lovely town meeting?
Besides the town hall meeting, he opened the door for some conversations. I personally haven't had a conversation with him. I'd rather meet with like the Board of Trustees or the president first. So he's opened the door for a conversation. But I think that the general sentiment is that he kind of explains his thought process and says the decision is final.
In a university where free thought is encouraged and discussion is encouraged, that's rather interesting to kind of say this is kind of one man sets the rule. Have you approached the Board of Trustees?
Yeah, we made phone calls. I've called them a couple times, sent them a couple emails. I think their email's a little backed up, so I don't know if I'm going to get through that way.
Yeah. Do you have their names?
Yeah.
Have you guys started to ask people to contact them or reach out to them at all?
Yeah, okay. Honestly, as we speak.
Okay, good. Then we'll look up some of that on the site. Tell me about your experience in Maryland. What was that like undergrad?
I mean, my coach was great. I really enjoyed my experience with Coach Valman. But the fact that we only had outdoor, I think, crippled us as a team.
Yeah.
Because you can't garner those recruits. I actually was a walk-on at Maryland. I didn't earn a scholarship.
Oh, good for you. Cool.
I earned a scholarship during my time there. But if most students who are competing at the top of high school, they're not looking to come to a team that doesn't have the full program. And so that made it crippled us to the point to where I think we finished last in our conference just about every year. I was there. And I mean, at one point, my junior year, we got close to not getting last, but for the first time, like in my 4 years there, but we finished last. And I think that affects the girls program as well.
Sure.
They didn't finish in the bottom. They finished in the bottom half of the conference every year I was there. But it's just hard to have a successful program when you don't have a full team.
And your coach was Andrew Valman?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Andrew I've got pictures of him when he was like 19. So, that's what happens when you've been around for a while. So why did you choose Clemson for graduate school?
I just wanted a place where I didn't have to compromise. Maryland didn't have the graduate program that I wanted. I'm getting my master's in athletic leadership. I wanted to do some sports management. I actually had a job at the NCAA that I turned down to come run.
Wow.
Complete my last season. So it was really important for me to get an education that meant something to me in my future goals. Clemson has the facilities are unmatched. Having an indoor facility was really important to me, especially not having outdoor eligibility. Only having outdoor eligibility, so I had the opportunity to compete unattached in 4 meets. Which is really nice to still be able to have an indoor season, even though I can't compete with the team. And I just think that the overall state of the athletic department, having a school with a successful athletic department that makes a decent amount of money every year, that has a football program that's one of the top programs in the nation, you would think it would be stable here. And so I saw the stability. I saw the world-class coaching. Coach Elliott coaches. I've trained with pros right now. And like that was really important to me to be able to have everything that I could if I was going to succeed, to see if I could do what I could do my best at the next level if it gets there.
Who are you training with?
I train with Natoy Gould. I train with Christiana Williams. I train with, of course, my teammates as well. Lori Barton won ACC championships on the women's side.
Yeah.
And then Andrea Foster, she got second. So I'm kind of bringing up the edge on the men's side, and I'm excited to hopefully compete for the title. So there's a lot of success within that group, and I think it's nice to be around people who are successful, and I think that drives you to be successful. So I'm excited.
When does Clemson want to shut everything down for next season?
Yeah, it's going to be after the conclusion of this season in June.
So they'll go through 2021 and then they shut it down.
Correct.
Wow. What is your goal right now to get them to reconsider keeping the program open, to open the program?
We want the entire team reinstated. Like I said, it would probably have to, there'd probably have to be some roster cuts to a certain aspect in order to remedy that. But I think that it's still possible to have the entire team.
What is the student body now? I know it's kind of weird right now because obviously, are you guys having actually in-room classes, or is everything virtual right now?
My master's degree is online, but I know some people are having like blended classes. Most people stayed home after Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Also, the only athletes are still here.
Yeah.
But we have gotten support from the student government. They actually passed a resolution showing their support for us. So we're really appreciative of that. And we're also working with some grad students to see if we can garner the support as well.
So has the AD said that if an endowment is put together, that covers your yearly expenses, they still won't support it? They want $60 million? Is that the whole deal?
Because the decision is final.
Wow. Have you guys thought about a legal remedy?
Yeah, we're looking into it. We have a couple people looking into that right now.
Have you talked to any law firms in the area that do anything like this, or that are doing pro bono work?
Spoken to any, like, that's the thing. We're really running a pretty large scale operation. So people do different things. That's not my, I guess, area of expertise. But I know we do have a legal team looking into those matters.
Okay. Because there are groups, and we've helped before getting lawyers who have a background in sports, and especially in dealing with what's you guys are facing, because I think there's going to be more and more programs dealing with this as COVID goes on.
Right.
And you were talking about the athletic department about profit. I think you're really right that there was a time when the athletic department was seen as an extension of your education. Right. I remember I went to college at Santa Clara University in the 70s. Mm-hmm. And when I applied for my PhD at Cal and at Stanford, I was told not to put any of my athletic information in my CV. And I asked my profs why, and they said, because they're going to think you're a dumb jock. And I'm like, okay, and it was fascinating. But it was, and some schools are still like that. But the difference is, as you know, the NCAA is a money-making machine, and the only people who don't make money are the student athletes. The TV contract is worth several $billion. I used to sell for IMG and do all the programs for the outdoor track and field champs, NCAAs, and they made money off all that stuff, And again, the schools made money, and indirectly, you guys got stuff. Your travel and things were taken care of. But when I was in school, there was a limitation on how much I could take for a meal. I think it was $5 a meal at the time. And I got in trouble for accepting a pair of brand new shoes when I was coaching at a high school. The guy wouldn't pay me, and he'd give me some shoes. So I had somebody walk around with them for a while, so they were used, so it didn't violate the NCAA rules. So, it's different stuff. The NCAA, have they tried to help you, or have you reached out to them? Have they given you any support?
I don't think we're moving down that route right now. I think overall, it's just sort of a commentary on this whole issue is a commentary on, I think, how individual schools and how they're taking this profit and they're honestly taking it to another level in order. People are looking more in the numbers than they are in the people. And I think the coach said he's in the people game and not the numbers game. And I think that that's completely false.
Yeah.
Just with this decision, it kind of shows that. So I don't think we've gone that route. It might be a route that we intend on going, but I think in order to solve this issue and stop this issue from being so pervasive, I think the NCAA does have to take some action in order to find a way to keep men's sports alive, because the men's sports are dying right now. And if we allow that to happen, it's really just going to be football and whoever they feel like supporting, and then track is probably going to be gone.
Sure. You've done this in a very thoughtful and respectful manner, and I know there's a lot of emotion in it and frustration because you chose a school that you could help further your education, and you gave up a lot so you could take that last year of eligibility. We're down to about 3 or 4 minutes, and I want to give the bully pulpit to you. I would like you to tell our readers what your team and you are feeling right now and how the best way we can help you.
Right. We're hurt, but now I feel like we're all empowered to really make this change. It's honestly, like, for me, I'm in a position to where it's not about me. It's about the next generation. And it's really about making sure that we provide these educational opportunities, if you had any experience running track, if you had the opportunity to run in college, you want other people to have that same experience that you had. you can't close the door behind you. You have to make sure that that's available, that an accessible education is available to everybody. So just when you're thinking about whether you want to make that post or make that phone call, think about those kids that won't have that opportunity. And this isn't something is going to stop here. It's going to be somewhere. It's going to be something that is going to be pervasive across the NCAA. And if 20 or 30 schools drop 12.6 scholarships every year, that's going to be huge. Just on the impact of kids around the country who want to receive an education. So you have to make sure that you're thinking about that next generation. You can't necessarily think about you. You have to put your feelings and your agenda aside and really think about that next generation of kids who want to receive an education at a quality school in a quality athletic department.
Again, I'm just putting some notes down. What's the name of your coach again?
Mark Elliott.
Mark Elliott. Okay. Seem to remember him. And then what about your AD?
Dan Rudkovich.
Yes, I know the name. The Butcher. Okay, and then what about university president?
I think it's Jim Clements, but I know the last name is Clements.
Okay, I'll check that. Double check. Kameron, you've been fantastic today. We're going to be talking to a couple of your classmates. Is it Mike Boudreau and Colin Gallagher? And we're going to check in with them too. Thank you for reaching out to us. Thank you for fighting the good fight. That's really important. I want to see that 149 get down to about a nice 146. You got the wheels to do it, and you've got the fight to do it too. So, and good luck with getting your master's degree. Very proud of you for doing that. That's really important. You know, education's really key. So this is Larry Eder with RunBlogRun, our program Socialing the Distance. We're featuring Kameron Jones. He's a master's student at Clemson with 1 year left of eligibility. And he's working with his team to fight and keep Clemson track and field, men's track and field and cross country alive. We encourage all of our readers to donate time, to donate money, to do anything they can, write some love notes to this university president, the head coach, give him some support, and Mr. Arikovich, who is a bit of a character, and I will explain that in the next couple bits. He tends to rely on cutting track and field when he can. But Kameron, thank you so much. You have a great week, and thank you for your time. Hey, hello, sports fans. It's Larry Eder, RunBlogRun. This is our program, Socialing the Distance. We're featuring 3 athletes from Clemson. The first of them is Kameron Jones. We just spoke with Kameron, and this is the epilogue, so this is my monologue. So here's the situation at Clemson. The head track coach, Mark Elliott, called everybody in and to a meeting. And according to Kameron, they'd never had this before. Kameron even had to give an excuse not to go to work. He at first thought it was about COVID. Then he knew it was something bad. And what it was that Clemson was cutting the men and women's track programs and cross-country programs, everything all at once. The AD, Dan Rudkovich, who has a reputation for decimating track and field programs. Remember, he was the guy who messed up Georgia Tech. Used the excuse that, track and field is responsible for $2 million in cost. And not only did he take care of that $2 million in cost, although they are looking at a $25 million shortfall down the road, but it also stops any chance of getting nailed for Title IX down the road because they've added softball. Here's a couple of the issues. And again, I've seen ADs do this before, and it's rather short-sighted. There's 3 sports that African-American athletes get involved with, and that's football, and that is basketball, and that is track and field. In fact, 92% of African-American males who compete in sports in college are in those 3 sports. Those sports give those young men the chance to get a college education, which, as we know, is the great leveler in this country. And so that by cutting track and field, you're cutting possibly 1/3 of the African-American athletes who compete in the Clemson program. And that's rather sad as well. But what I think is the strangest is, in typical dictatorial fashion, Mr. Rakovich says there's no way going back and there's no explanation. First of all, in this country, never tell anybody there's no way of going back, no fight and no explanation, because you know what? It isn't going to happen. And thank God the kids, young men on the team at Clemson, cross country and track and field, SaveClemsonXCTF with the hashtag, check it out. And young men such as Kameron Jones are fighting the good fight. Cameron's a middle distance runner. He's gone 21:41 in the 200, 46:17 at 400, 116 and change in the 600. He told me he's done a 115 and a 149 800. I think he can get down to 146, but that's just me talking. And he's got a fine group of athletes that he trains with. He was at the University of Maryland under our friend Andrew Valmont, but he thought that Clemson had for graduate school, had the program he wanted, which was athletic leadership. 2, he had it helped him. It was helping him achieve his goals. He turned on a job with the NCAA to compete for his last year. He's got an outdoor season left. And the way Clemson is talking about it is going through 2021 and in June of 2021, shutting all the men's programs down. The coach, Mark Elliott, is devastated. Mr. Clemens, who is the university president, doesn't sound like they've been able to reach out to him, but I understand some of the athletes on the team have reached out to the Board of Trustees. Check out their Facebook, check out their Twitter, check out their Instagram. They are fighting the good fight, but they need money, but they need voices. Consistently send notes to our, especially to the AD, Twitter him, because what these guys hate most of all is their name in public. Rakovich would not like to be known as a man who's decimating a program and on a university and in an area where, what did I understand, that in South Carolina, 26% of the population is African American, and at Clemson, 6% of the students are African American. That's strange. So what he's doing is one of the programs, the biggest program outside of football that gives African American males a chance to get an education and to further their athletic goals is track and field. And he's wiped it out in one fell swoop. And he said it's not a racial thing. Of course it's a racial thing. Everything's a racial thing or an economic thing. And this is economics. He hasn't figured out, and the easiest way is just to cut a program that he thinks that, well, the track coach isn't going to fight him. And track people, what do? They're geeks. They look at times. They're not going to argue. They don't even know how to write. So, yes, these people know how to write. They know how to communicate. There's some wonderful alums from Clemson. And Kameron is going to help fight the good fight. And we encourage you at RunBlogRun and the Run Network, we encourage you to support the Clemson track and field team, the men's track and field team, and the young women are supporting it as well. But support Clemson in their fight to keep men's track and cross country alive. Send notes, tweet Mr. Rakovich, send notes of support to Mark Elliott, the coach, and send notes to Mr. Clemens, the university president, and the Board of Trustees. All that info is up on their site and their Facebook. We're going to support them. You support them as well. This is Larry Eder with RunBlogRun signing off. This is Socialing the Distance. If you like us on Facebook, like us on Twitter, like us on Instagram. If you love us, subscribe on our YouTube channel. This is Larry Eder signing off.